There's no perfection.
Listen, I'm with you, baby. To me, it makes it's so ridiculous. Okay. I mean, they're spending so much time on.
There's no perfection.
Right.
Listen,
Oh, hold on. It's so ridiculous.
You went into you're in a tunnel.
I mean, they're spending so.
Bubba's in a tunnel.
Right. I'm in a tunnel.
I sent him in a tunnel because he got so upset about the cancel culture.
I can't. I really just can't take the things that go on, because like markets repeat their history over and over again. This is not new, okay? But yet we want to ignore, we want to eliminate, and I think, to me, that's just criminal, okay? When we think about it, I mean, but we're looking at things going on here, and there's no reason for it. The supply chain is breaking down because nobody wants to work. You've got 11 million jobs and 9 million people who need jobs. Okay. But, listen, let's just keep giving them stimulus checks and tell them to stay home.
It's in China's interest for the supply chain to fall apart.
Okay. I mean, and to think that these idiots cut off fracking and shale producing 100%, basically, because of this stupid Green New Deal or Green Deal they want to get done. Again, I have no issue with the thoughts of trying to become green, but I do have an issue when the whole world is short. Okay. We could be profiting off of this time. Look at what's going on in London with natural gas. I mean, we have plenty, but we just don't want to get it.
Bubba, a year ago in November, after Election Day, you and I both said it. We said it on this call.
You said it first.
We said it in the writings. We said that watch out, US. This is the one. I wish we were dead wrong. I really wish we were dead wrong. We could not have been more right about the call on this, but I wish we were wrong, because it is a tragedy. A tragedy. And it's not just affecting the US, it's affecting Europe, because now Europe is beholden to Vladimir Putin.
Yep.
And and OPEC in the Middle East, and we're back in the 70s here. We're back in Carter days.
I saw that they're even running out of coal now in places.
Oh yeah, well, coal was a 4-letter word in the energy sector, and we ended production of coal here and in other places around the world. Now we have a big shortage because India and China burn coal like there's no tomorrow.
Right, because it's cheap.
Right.
I don't get it. It's something that, I mean, the true energy transition is going to take 50 years to do what they want to do.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And it's a slow process, and I'm not against it. But you cannot turn the key off day one. We still depend on fossil fuels for energy to power this planet. To believe anything else today, tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now is naive.
No, I mean,
unless you're AOC, the world's going to end in 12 years.
Right. Well, I was on RT with a guy, an environmentalist doctor, who said by 2030 it'll be all over. I said, are you nuts? I mean, really? Do you really think that anybody really believes that we're going to be done in 2030? Okay. The overwhelming heat, the global warming. I go, okay, whatever. I can't.
Columbus's day, everyone was telling Columbus that the world was flat, right?
And he fall off.
Fall off the edge of the earth.
I guess he didn't. But
so many of the experts are morons.
I mean, it's what they're trying to do is just so ridiculous, but it's almost as ridiculous as Biden's claim that his new policies won't cost anything. I mean,
how can you claim you're going to spend $4.5 trillion on a budget initiative and on an infrastructure package, and it's going to have it's not going to cost anything? Because what he's telling you is it's not going to cost anything nominally, because we're just going to press a button and create the money. But then we're going to tax you. The value of your money and your savings is going to go down. So it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you big time.
Right.
And by the way, when they raise the taxes on the corporations, it's going to cost you even more, because if you don't think that the corporations are going to pass along those costs. And then his press secretary said that,
Psaki?
Why are you assuming that corporations are going to raise costs?
Oh, yeah.
The answer is very simple. Any CEO who went to business school, what they teach you is that your job is to increase shareholder profit. So when taxes go up, you raise prices to offset it. And because your interest is in the shareholders, because that's who you're beholden to.
Right.
So that's the answer. Why do you, and she says, why do you think companies are going to raise prices? I mean, the question is inane. It's inane. And it shows a total lack of understanding of business, economics, and human nature.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir, baby. So, now I got so many things I'm pissed off about. I can't. I mean, and it doesn't help that I get a lot of not so nice emails. But so, what is your take on universal health care? What's your take on it?
Look.
I just want your opinion. Listen. You were global. Your brother's in Australia. Okay. What is your opinion? I don't. Again, you don't have to sugarcoat it. I'm certainly not going to. But go ahead.
Universal health care equals worse health care across the board for everyone.
Right.
Doctors, and I have friends who are doctors, and I know you have family members who are doctors.
I do.
They're going out of the business because they can't support themselves. They graduate from schools with massive loans. They spend decades of their lives training, and then they come out and the government is regulating how much money they can make. And it's going to be rationed healthcare. It's going to be very difficult. I mean, we are not Australia, where there's a very small population and they can afford to do this. Look, I lived in England and they had the National Healthcare Service, and my son, who's going to become a father in a few days, he had roseola, which is a childhood disease. You get a very high fever. I called to take him to the National Healthcare. They gave him an appointment in 3 weeks. I called a private doctor from Harley Street. He was at the house in 20 minutes.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. Those who can pay will have concierge type medicine. Everyone else, and that's the vast majority, they will see their health care go down. You get cancer, you wait online. You break your leg, you wait for 3 weeks for a cast. It's not going to be a pretty situation.
Right.
They want to make dental part of it. You know what? The dentists will go out of the business. There'll be less dentists and there'll be less coverage. That's my view.
Listen, it's stupid. Okay, I got an email about it today, and he goes, "Well, the rest of the world, does it make the rest of the world right? It makes the rest of the world ignorant, because everybody that I know, and I know people in England, I know people in Australia, I know people in Canada, and I know a lot of people in Canada, and when they get a problem, they fly to the United States to go to the doctor."
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. By the way, I used to do a lot of business in energy down in Houston, and when I would go, I would stay in nice hotels for Solomon, and
Sure,
those hotels. And let me tell you who was in those hotels. Houston is a big medical community. A lot of great hospitals, a lot of amazing doctors down there. All of the Middle East, the people who were having chemotherapy and all that, they were staying in all the nice hotels.
Naturally.
Because they were going every day to the medical centers, because they weren't going to stay in their countries. They were coming to the place where they're on the cutting edge of medicine, the United States of America.
Right. Well, they want to live. Hey, listen, here's the bottom line. Here's the way that I see it. Okay. The problem with our healthcare here, okay, the way, you get bankruptcy, you can tell me, you get these ridiculous bills. You get a bill for, $100,000 for whatever. But I mean, the real deal is that if they would just allow insurance companies to cross state lines, okay, and be competitive, you wouldn't have such ridiculous pricing, and the doctors wouldn't have to rip you off if you paid cash to pay their bills, because they get beaten down by the insurance companies for what they're going to charge. The MRI is $2,500. Okay, I had some doctors that are friends too, right? So when I need an MRI, I said, "Listen, I'm going to pay it cash. How much?" $300. Okay, yeah, right. So if you would make insurance companies, like any other business, be competitive, we wouldn't have such high healthcare costs. What are your thoughts on that?
It goes past the healthcare industry. Insurance is a huge lobby. And who is insurance run by in this country? The reinsurance company. That's Mr. Warren Buffett. The bottom line is that insurance is a racket, whether it's car insurance, home insurance, All of these things, you're being overcharged. And the insurance companies are doing what they're doing in healthcare, what they're doing in every other industry. But they don't get regulated, and
Right.
they get their dividends tax-free, and they get all kinds of benefits. And insurance is really, it's listen. One of the mafia's biggest business is extortion, and is providing security, and they collect money for it. The insurance companies are no different.
Right.
Protection.
I get it.
Protection. It's protection rackets.
Right. They're a true racket. That's a different. Our hedging is not a racket. Our hedging is a real deal. Okay.
A racket.
We've had a form of universal health care here in Australia since 1970s. I don't hear anyone wanting to end this. Doctors do have some flexibility regarding their fee, and it is more usual than not that the doctor will charge more than the scheduled fee, which is the amount that the patient will be reimbursed. Okay. Now, again, like I said, I don't know anybody who's happy with it. And I know, let's say 100 people that have it that wish they didn't. Okay. That's all I can tell you. And I don't want
My brother's in Australia, and his experiences with doctors there has been pretty good. But it's a small country. It's a small country. It's not a country of 360 million people.
Right. No,
and it's not a country where the insurance companies rule the roost.
Right. Right. Well, they do here that, but Warren Buffett will tell you that he's not paying enough taxes. But of course, he forgets to tell you that he's taking $12.9 million in dividends, which is taxed at a better rate than his $100,000 a year salary. So he's not paying enough taxes.
And his insurance company that makes all those investments, they don't pay a dime in taxes on the dividends they receive. Because
write a check, Warren. If you're not paying up, you can. Nobody is preventing you from writing a check.
No, he wants you to pay more taxes, Bob.
I know. Okay, listen, he's a billionaire, and I'm sure he wants to pay more taxes. Why shouldn't I? But let's keep talking about taxing the rich. I lived in Australia. It took forever to see a doctor for almost everything. It stinks. Okay, there you go. There's enough. So we got two different opinions, two people that live in Australia. So look, at the end of the day, I don't want it. I think it's dumb. I think, so, maybe Sabrina could have waited a few days after the baby because she couldn't get in.
Exactly. And you know what else? Universal income. Same deal.
Oh, yeah. Boy.
Same deal.
I know. Listen, look, I tell you,
these kids, my son, my stepson, they're going to start getting $600 a month checks from the government for their babies. Now, they're entitled to it because that's the law. Do they need it? No, they have good jobs.
How many cars does he have?
Yeah, he's got 5 cars or whatever. Yeah, and my son is a prosecutor. He does very well. His wife is the computer security executive. They do very well, but they will be getting the checks because everyone's getting the checks because AOC wants them to get the checks.
Right.
Get the checks, because when we give you the check, we control you. Maybe not them, but everyone else, they control. It's all about control. When you give your kid an allowance when they're 10 years old, you monitor their spending, and it's a control. It's a parenting thing. We don't need the government to be our mommy and daddy.
Right. Well, they'd be okay if they did a good job, but obviously we can see
they do a shitty job. Pardon my French, but they do a shitty job.
I know. Listen,
it's horrible. It's just so depressing,
and it's getting worse. It's been bad for many years. It's getting worse. Okay.
Right. It's been bad for many years, but it's been tolerable, and it's just getting it's getting to a point now where they're not even. It's not. It used to be kind of hidden, like with the cryptos.
Right.
They're giving you every reason in the world why the cryptos are bad in the government, but they're not addressing saying, hey, we want to control the money supply. So they never tell you the real reason, but the real reason is so obvious that you got to be blind not to see it.
And cryptos are going soaring higher, but we'll get there.
Exactly. No, I'm just saying. It's
I'm with you.
Kind of thing. They never give you the real reason, but anyone who has a brain in their head knows what the real reason is.
Listen, it's the same story. They just tell it different ways. It's always the same crap. You always get screwed at the end of the day. The average middle class person gets screwed at the end of the day. That's all. It's that simple. You can say whatever you want. You can disagree. Hey, but I'm telling you, it is my experience that every year I got to make more to actually make less so that I can pay them more of the crap that they want me to pay for. So,
Of course.
anyways, big boy, the dollar is trying to push again. Look at
That's
this.
the best horse, man. Look, interest rates are going to go up unless all of a sudden Biden wakes up from his slumber and decides Lial Brainerd is going to be the next Fed chairman, and then let's see what happens to the dollar.
Does she get approved as the next Fed chair?
Would she get? That's a good question. It would be
It's interesting. Anyways, I mean, so the dollar. Look, we're long dollars, and we've been for a while. And look, we're breaking out. This is almost not quite, but almost like a cup and handle type pattern. But you're breaking out again. I mean, right now it's probably 94.50, 94 to 94.50. You know, it's not the greatest trading product.
This thing is never going to run away on the upside. It's never going to run away on the downside because it's managed. It's manipulated heavily by government. But the trend is your friend. The trend is higher. And the dollar and the currency, the leading currency markets, they're a function of interest rates. And U.S. interest rates are going to go higher because we have huge inflation here.
Yeah.
It's the only way that the Fed can make a stand against inflation. If they don't do it, inflation is going to be ridiculous. So, the dollar has to go higher if interest rates are going up. The bottom line is it's the interest rate differential between the dollar and the euro. Everything else is garbage.
Anyways, 94 to 94.50, Connie. And wait until your kids get their electric and gas bills this winter. Oh boy.
Exactly.
And that's from our expert who is in the coal business, okay, and in the natural gas business worldwide. And he's the one who always fills us in on what's going on. But I mean, the dollar did have it. Look at the spike it hit out during COVID. Of course, we know it was fear. But again, look, it is manipulated like every other currency in the world, which is another problem. Okay. But again, it's still a free market. It doesn't really matter because the market still trades. It's the story I always tell. Like my grandma liked the trotters. Well, maybe I'll bet on the crooked horse. Okay. That's all. Anyways, the euro currency, which obviously continues to go the opposite. I mean, if you turn this upside down, it looks just like the dollar. Okay. So obviously
7%, man, of the index. That's it.
Obviously, we're short euro currency, and we will obviously stay there until it changes. And again, look, I was way off on my timing, but I am convinced that this is going back below par at some day. Okay. Now again, I could be wrong, but between all of them, they all want to be worthless. That's the big race.
Europe is a mess. I think part of it also is that, Chancellor Merkel was a bit of a moderate, and you're going to have like a real socialist now in Germany. So that's going to be perfect. They'll all get along and sing Kumbaya in Brussels at the EU. And, that ain't good for the euro.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyways, 116.25.30 be a seller. I'm not a buyer at any price. There is no support. I mean, it's right at some support right now, but I have no interest.
I could see it going to parity against the dollar, no question.
As I remember, it was 88 cents.
When they introduced it, it was 88 cents, right?
Yeah. In the meantime, cryptos, they continue to try to regulate them, and bang, here they go again.
Highs coming, man. I mean, this thing tells us that new highs are coming.
Oh yeah, and there's four new ETFs coming out too with cryptos.
It's amazing. The SEC is approving it, and the head of the SEC, they give such mixed signals. He says, "Oh, I don't see that this is an asset class for a long time." Today, one of my friends who used to be I got an interesting story here.
Go.
One of my friends who used to be the chief oil trader at Fibro, one of the chief oil traders in Europe, and then he took over as the chief oil trader at JP Morgan. I saw he sent a message on LinkedIn to Jamie Dimon betting him $10 million straight up that for the next year that Bitcoin has a better return than JP Morgan stock. Mm-hmm. Let's see if JP Morgan, if Jamie Dimon answers.
But you know what? Jamie Dimon knows that it will.
I know he does. He ain't making up that.
It's funny how him and it's garbage. It's no good. In the meantime, they're invested and they got their advisors running it.
Oh, yeah. Not only it's good. Anyone in my organization touches it, I fire him that day. That's what
maybe he should fire himself. Right. And then, of course, you got the rat poison guys, Buffett and Munger. And I guarantee I'd bet my life that they get holdings in cryptocurrencies. in
Of
some
course.
shape.
Rat poison squared and what do you call it? Disgusting
Yeah.
affront to civilization.
Yeah, yeah. Free markets are certainly disgusting. A free currency that is not manipulated by government is certainly.
He called it a disgusting affront to civilization. He doubled his position in Alibaba stock last week.
Right. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there in a second.
No, I'm just saying.
I know. I know.
It's not an affront.
I'm with you, baby.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In Bitcoin, look, at 60,000 should probably be some resistance. Okay. You probably see it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to come back down to 52 right now and trade. Again, listen, remember one thing. It's a very big, first of all, it's a $60,000 commodity. Okay. So a 10% move isn't that big a deal, one way or the other. Okay. So just remember that, just as fast as they can go up and come back down. But if you look at it, from here, not bad. I mean, it certainly looks pretty good. Okay.
Something like Bitcoin, I find that it's really good kind of mental gymnastics to replace the comma with a decimal point and look at it as a $57 stock rather than 57,000, because it perverts your head.
Right.
If you look at it like that, it trades like DraftKings.
Listen, it's like the stock market. When I first started trading, it was 800.
Right.
Now it's 40,000.
Right.
How will more ETFs affect Riot? Listen, I think Riot's got some problems on its own, which we'll get to.
Remember, they're miners and they're paying more and more and more for energy. So that's big. You got with the mining companies, you have a big energy component. So that is the way.
Riot I wouldn't be surprised if Riot and Mara and the others are just part of the new Bitcoin soups that are coming out.
Right.
I don't think it has any real effect. In fact, it may help them overall, because if they become a component of an ETF, like they are a component of BitQ, okay? And if they become another component, it means they got to own the whole things, the percentages that they do to create it. So I don't think it's.
And another thing, whenever there's nice correlations, you have a lot of action in arbitrage that's created by big players, hedge funds, and those people that will, cause those stocks to move with the underlying.
Oh yeah, no, listen, I used to arb all the time. That was one of the big benefits of being a floor trader.
Arbitrage is a beautiful thing. It adds liquidity across all of the members of the asset class.
Right, 100%. So in the meantime, I don't think it'll hurt them at all. I think Riot's got some issues on its own, though. That I do believe. Because
I think that's energy. I think that we're facing big.
They're probably I don't even know they are, but they're probably in a high cost of energy, because that's certainly.
Is there any other component in terms of mining crypto?
Mara's way outperformed Bitcoin, and they used to be the opposite. But anyway,
locked in. Maybe they hedged their energy costs.
It could be. Maybe.
I can't. It's hard to look under the hood at those companies, but the one thing I will say is that in this crypto, the people are very smart in the crypto world, and they definitely look at the variables. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't hedge some.
Well, they should, but they may not yet. They may not have, listen, it took the airlines, with the exception of Southwest,
idiots.
It took them 50 years to learn how to hedge oil.
And they do Texas hedges.
And bankruptcy hedges. That was, but listen, that's why Herb Keller was so smart. But in the meantime, cocoa, it came down. I mean, basically, looking at this chart, cocoa is probably right near support, but not on it now. Okay.
Still.
I mean, we're still along it, and I suspect, there's nothing to them here. When we were down here, I was concerned. Look what happened. It came right down to support, and it did pop. But I was a little bit.
I remember what happened to cotton a couple of weeks ago. The thing trashed on September 20th. Came down below 90 cents, below 89 cents.
I remember that.
All of a sudden, it's $1. It was $1.16. So these soft commodities are not the most liquid, and they move like fire. And you stick with the trends.
Right. Now, are increasing costs driving up the? No, they'd be driving down the cost of the components, because it costs them more to produce. That was one of the things about, somebody asked about Bitcoin, and that's one of the problems with all the guys that were mining. Their electric bills were so big they couldn't pay them. Okay, that's why China was so good at it. That China's probably still got, as much as they outlaw it, they probably still have buildings and buildings full of these computers trying to mine for crypto.
And the government probably owns them all.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Right. It's basically do as I say, not as I do.
100%, sweetheart. So crude got to 80, what, over $82, I believe, right?
Are you shocked?
No, but
Okay. Should anyone be shocked?
not if you listen to us, not if you've been here.
Should not be shocked, please. And if it goes to 100, don't be shocked.
I think it's going to, I would bet that it's going to, well, actually, I guess I did. I'm long crude. So I guess I did bet it's going to.
Don't be shocked. Energy policy in the US underpins this big time. And those criminals at OPEC and the Russians, they're spitting in the face. They're like, it's payback time. Let me ask you a question.
They're our best friend.
Would you rather sell 1 barrel at 100 or 2 at 40? That's the question you have to ask.
I'd rather buy them at 30 right from our shale and frackers.
But that exactly, but that we can't do that anymore because we have to address climate change because the world's going to end in a decade.
Right, Connie, 78 to 82. Okay,
I mean, we could go on. By the way, we could talk energy for 3 hours today,
and not cover half of it.
Right. But the bottom line, folks, is it's U.S. energy policy. It's the Oval Office. On the first day, he outlawed the Keystone Pipeline. In May, they said no more fracking and drilling in Alaska. The regulations are going to be ridiculous. The progressives keep pushing him more and more. And the bottom line is the more they push, the higher this goes. Bottom line, 100% correlation.
100%. 78 to 82, Connie. Would be here. Now, if we had more volume, if this was a huge spike in volume, I'd have been prepared to call it top. Now, I thought that it was a little bit overdone overnight anyways, okay, and would have been willing to take a sale if it wasn't a holiday kind of Monday. But overall, again, you're going to get some pullback at some point. I may not be here, and I'm not telling you, well, I'm long. That's all I can tell you, okay?
Definitely, this thing takes the elevator down. You will get an elevated ride down eventually. The question is it going to come from 81? Is it going to come from 90? Is it going to come from 100? Or, and by the way, it's been making higher lows mostly. It continues to look good. Remember, April 2020, the thing was $120 lower than it is right now.
That's true. Okay. Chinese electric demand up 14%. Well, there you go. There's the Bitcoins crunching away.
Right. There it is, crunching.
Cotton. Now,
by the way, the Chinese sold another round of base metals. The prices haven't gone down. They're selling out of strategic stockpiles to cool the market off. It's not doing it.
Right. Exactly. Cotton, I actually called. Now we're long cotton, so just full disclosure, but I did call a top as a trade last week, okay, and not because I'm bearish, but again, you get this explosion, okay, in volume and in price, and I go, gee, I got to take a chance to the short. I'm so long, but I got to figure out a way to get short this, just because of the move. I'm not looking at the fundamentals. I'm not looking at anything. What I'm looking at is the overall picture, okay, of what the chart looks like, and I know that this type of move, this parabolic move up, cannot last.
Cotton is the new lumber. And by the way, lumber is becoming the new lumber.
I know, I saw it, I got it. I'm here, baby, I'm watching it. Okay, so, I mean, I would suspect that cotton somewhere around 107. Okay, and again, I sold it at 115. So, 107 is not a bad trade. But in the meantime, I mean, this is like 107 and it just keeps going up. I mean, I don't expect that to change. Inflation that we don't have and everything else that continues to go on here. I mean, prices are going up. Okay, you can stand in your head and listen to those idiots, okay, that don't recognize that fact, or you can realize that there is costs are going up. The fuel costs, the input costs for farmers is destroying them. Okay, so you can say whatever you want, you can look at whatever you want, but the real bottom line money is that even though prices are high, they're not high enough because these guys aren't making.
Markets don't go in straight lines. Sell-offs can be brutal. And if you look across the board, even in the corrections are going to higher lows.
And the most vicious rallies come in bear markets.
That's right. That happens all the time. We're in bull market mode, baby, in commodities.
Gold, baby, gold. Okay.
Going nowhere, sleeping.
Yeah, it's manipulated. Okay.
It doesn't matter whether it's no one's interested.
Let's say that. I didn't want to get to. I just couldn't control myself for a minute, but I'll get to that shortly. Okay.
By the way, it's $17.50 an ounce. Every big dip since, I mean, we're short, but every big dip since 2000, 1999 has been a buying opportunity in gold at 1750. I know we'll be long again gold at some point, and I know that gold will make a new high.
Now, you know that
but I don't know how low it's going to go in this bear market trend that's lower highs. I don't know.
First of all, you and I obviously both buy physical metals all the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But from a trading standpoint, trading is trading, investing is investing. But bottom line is I firmly believe that this low is getting taken out. Okay. The flash crash low, which came on August 8th, 9th, okay, which took silver has already retraced it and gone through it. Now it's coming back a little bit. Platinum is actually in a bull market, not a bull market, but a positive market right now. Yeah. But gold is going to come. I think it's got to come down here before it's healthy enough to make the move. In the meantime, it's
the best thing you know what the best thing would be for the gold market? You get another one of those flash crashes.
A flush would be perfect.
Okay. A big flush.
In the meantime, right now, 1730 to 1780.
And what's the thing you'll hear the day of the flush? What's the one word you'll hear?
Manipulated.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anyways, feeder cattle, they look pretty good. They've come out. And
this time of the year, it's good price action.
No. Again, I'm agreeing with you there, and we are still actually short both fats and feeders. I think it's almost time to be long, but today's action is not going to change the signal. But again, I thought that there was a bottom put in place. I could see it here. That's what I thought. But again, I'm not going to use my opinion. I'm going to use the algorithm like I always do. Okay, because that's just the way that I trade, and as long as you're consistent in the way that you do things. But certainly it wouldn't surprise me to see, it wouldn't surprise me to see much higher prices. When I used to do hits before RFD TV became a TV station, we used to send them our tapes because they did tape delay. So I used to tape for them 3 or 4 times a week. And you remember when feeders were 250?
Yeah.
Yeah. My day, every day. Sell.
Yeah, anyway. But we don't pick tops.
No.
And if we were trading the algorithm when we're at 250, we would be long.
And right. And the bottom line is
because by the way, at $1.75 and at $2 they were expensive, and at $2.25 they were expensive. It's just the way this whole thing goes. No ego, no tops, no bottoms.
And if the pattern were correct, okay, all goes up with no inflation. Yeah, but that fruit plate is still cheap on American. Anyways. Hogs were long hogs now, and I think they found some base. This is, in my memory, this is a very high price for hogs for December hogs.
It is for this time of the year.
I remember December hogs and they were 39 cents. So in the meantime, I think 80 is probably pretty solid support for those of you who watch it. And I think it's going higher. Copper. Now we're still short copper. It spiked again today. Now, one of the things you want to take away from today, let me clarify one thing here. Today's action, although was interesting and wild in many markets, but the banks closed, it does change the way some markets function on today only, because it was Columbus Day. So in fact, I was surprised, Andy, that all markets were open today other than the banks.
Well, copper is very much a London-based market. So
right, but I'm talking about options are open. Right. I never remembered that. I thought that, the bond markets were open today, except for the banks weren't open. But I mean, everything was open today.
Yeah, because they canceled Columbus. So Columbus is canceled.
Yeah. So we're still short. And again,
let me say something about copper.
Yeah.
Since July 1st, the Chinese have sold 570,000 metric tons of copper, aluminum, and zinc. In the third quarter, copper was down 4%. Zinc was up 2%. Aluminum was up 13%. They're trying to cool off this rally, and they're not doing a very good job at it. Copper has absorbed a lot of Chinese selling from strategic stockpiles. So is aluminum, so is zinc. I view what's going on fundamentally as pretty bullish. Now, we'll be long copper again when it breaks up, and if it starts to run, we'll definitely be long. And I understand why we're short here, but I think that right now we're trading pretty close to the midpoint of the May high and the August low, and copper's kind of sitting there saying it's looking like it wants to go higher.
It's kind of sitting in the torture chamber.
Yeah.
I get it. In the meantime, coffee, well, you got to drink that coffee. It's consolidating.
I got a thing I'll tell you on coffee. I think coffee's going to $3 a pound.
Yep.
That's where it tends to go when it, gets explosive. We've seen it a couple of times. Last time I think we saw it was 2011. I'm not saying it's going there tomorrow, but this market, I like that this market keeps coming back. It goes down and makes a higher low, higher low, higher low. These are very, very pretty patterns in the coffee market.
100%. And I don't drink coffee outside the house anyways. I make it myself. But is Starbucks going up in coffee price and their prices? Anybody know?
I don't like their coffee.
I like their frappes, but in the meantime, I don't go there and I wouldn't pay their prices. But in the meantime, coffee looks unbelievable. And if it breaks, you can see another 20-cent move in one day.
And I'm glad you said that, because you know what, Bubba? Coffee is the market. It'll sit, it'll small, and then all of a sudden, it'll be 240. That's just the way this thing trades.
Yeah, listen, I remember the first time we hit 3 back in the 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
We were selling it like crazy. And I remember when it hit 40 cents in the 90s,
buying it like
we were loading it up.
Right.
Okay. I mean, that's the one thing about commodities. There are certain prices that I'm willing to sell no matter what, and there are certain prices I'm willing to buy no matter what. Right now,
the whole commodity environment is so reminiscent. Look, history never repeats exactly, but from 2008 to 2012, commodity prices made higher highs and higher lows. Many of them reached all-time highs.
Wait till they go out and wipe out all the charts to cancel culture.
Yeah, right. What we're seeing now is almost a picture perfect repeat of the action. And the only difference, folks, is that this time the amount of monetary and fiscal stimulus is multiples of what it was then. So why should we expect a different result?
100%. And lumber, as you said, it has broken out. Now there you go. I
love the rounding pattern, and look, boom.
And you did call the bottom here and said this looks like it's consolidating, and bang. Suddenly, now again, we don't trade this. This is, what they trade? 20 contracts today? Oh, 294, big day.
That's a big day. Are you kidding? But we do trade. I do look at things like Weyerhaeuser and
it's not as nuts.
No. I would never trade one contract of lumber. It's a roach motel.
Yeah, they got you by it's the country club. It's the country club brethren of cattle.
Right. It's worse.
Pork bellies.
10 times worse.
Oh, pork bellies, because they took them off the exchange, remember? Starbucks, Mocha, Choca, and their Iki Wiki Leaky coffee drinks have pricing power regardless. Yeah, I understand. But they like to raise. Okay. More $3,000 stimmy checks. Yeah, listen, we got to have stimulus. They got to have them.
Coffee.
Why should they get their ass off the couch and go to work?
Okay. Yeah, AOC will go. She'll put a bill in there before Congress. Free coffee for everyone.
She'll go to before Congress with her Starbucks and her whatever electronic bill she's driving that burns a dramatic amount of energy just to create it. But who cares? Yeah. And wait till your prices of bottled water start to go up too, because you know what? That takes energy too to make the bottles. So this is why this policy is dumber than dumb, and that's why they're dumber than dumb. But anyways, whatever. Okay. Cattle, we're still short this too, but again, this is probably the key area. As I said, I like this as well. We're back down in here, from a personal standpoint. Now, it wasn't cheap enough, for me to say I'm just going to buy it. But to me, when live cattle gets under $1, I'm a buyer. Like almost, I'm like a farmer. I'm going to buy it and hold it. Okay, corn.
And you know what? The bottom line is, if you go to a restaurant and you buy a steak, it has absolutely no relationship to these futures markets.
Right.
And the price just goes up.
Oh, I know.
How much is a steak now? $55, $60 in a restaurant?
Well, it depends where you go. But you're right. I went out. I took Xander out before I left. Pam was here already. She's already back home now, but she was here. Me and Xander went to dinner to Wildfire, which is one of those chain and a very high-end restaurant. And I go, get whatever you want, Xander. I don't care. Cost is no object. Okay. He looked at the money. The menu said, "You nuts?" Said $61 for a steak. I go, okay. But and at the end of the day, And one thing about
Was the steak
restaurants,
as good? Was the steak as good as it is on Fremont Street?
no.
Oh, that's a good steak. By the way, anyone who joins us needs to go to the steakhouse on Fremont Street. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And of course, nat gas. Now, there's another one I commented last week. I said I'm going to sell it. Now we're long it, but as a trade, and I told everybody in the day trading class that this was probably a sell, not because I'm bearish, but you get a spike move like this. Normally, it indicates a temporary top. Now we're still long, and if it doesn't hold here, I would suspect we won't be long anymore. Okay?
So let's talk about natural gas here.
Yeah.
On October 6th, put in a bearish reversal when Mr. Putin told Europe, "Oh, don't worry. We, the Russians, are here to supply Europe with natural gas this winter." The one thing he didn't mention was at what price.
Right. Listen,
So we're coming into the winter season, and you know what? This thing is a freak show. It's a crazy commodity. It could come down to $4. But this is going to be a wild winter if it's cold here, folks.
and
Winter.
that's why, like, quite frankly, personally, I hate to be short natural gas in the winter. I've seen this movie so many times, but again, I'll trade the way it's supposed to be traded.
Right. Then you'll have an opportunity. You might miss a buck here or a buck there, but you'll get the big
Yeah.
move.
Look, at the end of the day, it's hit a hell of a move, and you watch it, and suddenly out of nowhere, and of course, if you look in well, how much is the price in London now?
It was in the
25 or 30?
30s or 40s per MMBTU in Europe. But then Putin basically pushed it down with his statement. But the question is, how much is he going to charge? How much is he going to charge? He's going to supply a lot more at 30 and 40 than he will at 4. I
remember when I did a TV hit with the RT about the what was our pipeline from Russia to, what was it called?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the name. By the way, we just approved that pipeline.
Yeah, but they tried to battle with it. I go, what is our business? Okay.
While we were saying no fracking and no drilling here and no Keystone here, we're saying, yeah, Russia, you could put the pipeline into Europe. By the way, climate change, isn't that a global thing, or is that just in the US? What are we going to put a bubble around? I don't get it. Nothing is consistent.
Well, why? Our population is about 3.5 or 4% of the world, but we're going to affect the major the environment.
China and India, forget it.
Right. Now, listen, I'm so sick of this crap. This is stuff that makes me angry, and I don't want to talk about it. You follow natural gas stocks. How are they holding up?
Me?
Yeah, you watch them. You talked about a few of them.
Listen, natural
Let me
gas.
ask a question. I don't really watch them.
I mean, I watch it every day.
Right.
To me, it's the wildest of all commodities. By the way, if you look,
but the stocks like EOG and other stocks like that,
they're doing well. They're trending higher. But with natural gas is a commodity that the most people who get carried out with losing everything come from natural gas. Amaranth, we just heard of another hedge fund that blew up. You'll hear of a lot of blowups in this. Be very careful with this one. The stocks are doing okay. Why? Because even at 540, natural gas is, at the highest price in years, and the costs are pretty low. The only problem is there's no new, and the other thing that supports these, there's no new entrants into who would be crazy enough to open up a fossil fuel business now in the US, knowing what's coming down the pike. So the existing companies are going to do very well, but there's going to not be any new competition.
Nord Stream 2 was the.
Yeah, Nord Stream 2.
I remember it now. Now that you say it, I remember it. Thank you, sir. Yeah. In the meantime, again, it's natural gas in Europe is $33. Okay. Yeah. Oh. And they got none, and they're going to have, and it's not even colder yet. Wait. Okay. But in the meantime, that's where optionsellers.com. But that's why we never sell naked options. Okay. That's why if we're going to sell, we cover them up. Okay. We do trade the futures, but again, we trade the trend. So we're going to catch it anyways.
Bubba, I have a very interesting article out today on TradingView, which is kind of using implied volatility as a tool rather than, and in natural gas, it's something that I watch constantly. I always watch the implied volatility because it's a real-time indicator of the range that the market thinks is going to happen at any given time. So implied volatility in natural gas options is through the roof, as you could imagine.
That's something to keep your eyes on. You know, I would never sell a naked. I don't care at 300% volatility. I wouldn't sell a naked option.
Right. It's like stealing.
Never, never.
Mm.
Would I spread them? Yes. But
Yes.
would I sell them naked? No, no,
Yeah.
no.
You know, OJ is OJing out, and we're short OJ.
OJ is OJing out, no question about it.
What's going on in Brazil? Anything with the real or?
It's all quiet. It's all quiet there. The real is a little bit weaker, but all quiet there. They had a frost that lifted the price. It lifted the price too high in the terms of the OJ. So, but we're going to come into the time of the year where OJ is going to find the bottom, and we'll turn long it because OJ is always susceptible to freezes in the U.S.
We're waiting for the Duke brothers to come in.
Right, the Dukes.
Platinum was down today, but nice little, again, here is the revisit and the new low after the flash crash low, and spike up, come down, consolidate, now starting to break up. And again, probably 10, 30 is probably some resistance.
The reason we buy platinum physical is because it's inexpensive. It's inexpensive compared to palladium, which is over $2,100. It's inexpensive compared to gold. It's rarer than gold. It's inexpensive compared to rhodium. It's over $14,000 an ounce. It's the value proposition is compelling, but the trend, it's from hunger. It's been a horrible trend. It's hugging 1,000. Was as high as 1,300 this year. It looks better, no question, but it looks crappy in general.
In general, they all look crappy. So are you a buyer?
Yeah. I'm always a buyer.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I'm always a buyer.
Sugar, baby. Yeah. Here, we're trying to break out again.
Energy, we talked about it last week. When oil prices are going higher, sugar is bottom line. Because in Brazil, all ethanol runs the cars. Higher oil prices go, more sugar goes into ethanol production in Brazil. Here it's corn. Even, when we get to it, corn was up today when the others were down. It's all about energy. Sugar's all about energy. I wouldn't be surprised to see sugar make a new high. My target on sugar is around 23.90. That was the high from, I think, 2014.
Right now, Connie. So sugar, look, again, if you're going to play it, I'd be a buyer at 1950. Silver looks pretty bad. It looks it looks worse than gold. Looks worse than platinum. Okay. What?
I said yuck.
I mean, we're short, but it is holding. I mean, there's always moments in time that markets start to look a little bit better. Now we can see it could certainly break to the upside from here. I mean, listen, remember what our mantra is always: never surprised, always prepared. We're short right now, and it could pop, but to me, it looks like we want to go lower. I see no compelling reason. Another thing is, look at that. Okay. Is there any reason to jump in here yet? And the answer is no. No.
But that $1.5, $2 day on the upside is coming eventually.
Oh yeah, 100%. Listen, I'm convinced that we'll see the highs of what was it, 11? Was that 2009 or 2011? I don't remember. But whenever it was.
2011, $49.
Yeah, we'll see those again someday. I don't know when. So in the meantime, right now, it's in a very tight range, and it's like 20.
When you get it, you'll stop getting hate mail.
I'll never get stop getting hate mail. 2250, especially for the article I wrote today. I said metal prices manipulated, laughing out loud. In the meantime, 2250 to $23. It's a very tight range. That's telling you one thing, okay, that there's a huge move coming, and for now, it's still down. Okay, and the bond, well, I guess we did the bonds on this segment. The bond vigilantes are back.
They are back.
And I think the Fed is out of bullets. How's that? Okay.
And we said that around September 20th. They're back, and they're back.
I think the Fed's out of bullets. What do you think?
I think 120 billion a month is not enough bullets.
I think they're done. I think that I think, as you and I talked about, I think the bond vigilantes waited and waited and waited. And once they could sniff that the Fed had some problems, and again, whether they have problems or not, we don't know, but the biggest problem right now is who's going to be the next Fed chair, because Ang and I both agree that Powell is not getting reappointed, and it's going to be somebody much worse than him.
Yeah, it's going to be a dove that soars higher. And the bonds, let me tell you, the bonds are telling you transitory, no way. That's what the bonds are telling you.
Right. And, and the 10-year note now is up to about we're 10 years about 1.7 now. Okay. Again, this is bad.
I think we're heading back to the 150 to a test of that March low at around 153.5.
Yeah.
Low 153.
I could agree. And right now, the next real support is about 155. Okay. Excuse me, 156.
Yeah.
159, 156 to 159.
Yeah, that makes sense. But these things, the one thing, if you look at the chart, Bubba, you know as well as I do, bonds trend very well.
Oh yeah, bonds and currencies are very good trenders.
They trend very well.
And now we go to the grain markets, which they got WASI tomorrow. I could care less, but it's something that people talk about and they're waiting. I'll tell you what. Now we're short corn, we're short beans, we're long wheat. Okay, but I'll bet that we get a rally tomorrow. I'm going to predict in front of all you folks, okay, that the report will be bearish, but based on the recent price action, other than soybeans, which have been pretty ugly, but based on my watching the prices, they've overpriced to the downside. And no matter what the report is, it's not going to be bearish enough to continue to keep prices going lower. What do you think?
I think that the report will be bearish for corn and soybeans. I think that corn is supported by energy, and I think the report will be bullish for wheat.
Okay.
So I think that wheat is a different kind of animal, but I think that the report is bull. It's a snapshot that was taken when they wrote the report. By the way, the report is already written. And, it's really what sentiment is going to be going out of this. And remember, we're in the harvest now. It's basically the show is over. The game is over. The weather's not going to do anything right now. The focus is going to shift below the equator now. We're going to start looking at weather in Brazil, in Argentina, and those places. And chances are we're going to probably go into more narrow ranges in these things. But wheat is going to be interesting.
Well, I think they're all going to make a big move, and I get news for you. Okay, this is the USDA and the Federal Reserve went to the same school of imbeciles and ignorance. Okay, but anyways, the corn is actually found a little bit higher support. I think corn looks like right now 530 to 540, pretty narrow. Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, soybeans have broke down. Now the 1240 was a key number we were watching, as you can remember from last week. This is not very appetizing. Now the only thing first of all, it doesn't look good. Okay, and now you're looking at 1180 as the next real level of support.
Yeah, we're short. Bring it on.
But I do again tomorrow will be interesting from a pricing standpoint. Like I said, the report, I can honestly say that the only time I get information on this report is because Andy writes it for his commodity report, the technical, okay, and the ag report. So that's the only thing I don't read it because I could care less. Okay. And I've never read the Wall Street Journal nor a copy of, I've never read any financial publication because I could care less. Okay. This tells me, and I believe this is where I think that the trick comes in, as I think they've overpriced it. But the key with this breakdown with 1240 is somewhat concerning. But again, that can change, depending if they have really overpriced into this report. So we'll see what it looks like. But in the meantime, for now, 1180 is the next stop, 1180 to 1240, believe it or not. Okay. And wheat, kind of just hovering, it spiked higher, okay, which would have been a perfect selling opportunity on a blow off pattern. Okay. But again, it's now right back at support. Remember, we talked about this W pattern, there it is, and it popped. Now we're at support. Now is probably a chance, and you're probably going to see, I'm going to say you've got a good chance to see new highs in wheat. What do you think?
I agree. That's why I said I think that's going to be bearish tomorrow for those, but I like the action in wheat. But the price is high, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that you'll see that global stocks went down.
I gotta get Beeks for the Duke brothers. We got to pay off Beeks, Andy.
Clarence Beeks.
If the Fed stays dovish or goes hyper dovish with QE, wouldn't that mean that U.S. gets inflation? It's already got inflation and hyperinflation. Inflation is about 15% right now. They won't admit it, but ask any farmer what his input costs are. Yeah. They're getting destroyed on these costs, and I think
economists at the Fed are just going to change the formula so you don't see it.
Yeah, right. They're going to go to digital. Listen, it's a criminal act. Okay, and as far as I'm concerned, they're idiots, and they're going to continue to steal and penalize everybody but the extremely wealthy, who they continue to tell us that they're against. And, but of course, it's the extremely wealthy that are pushing the agendas that are here. And, so again, listen, I can't buy into anything that any of these people say, because they are clueless as tits on a bull, excuse me. Okay. Because this is ridiculous. The whole situation could have been easily handled. Okay. The first thing is you let somebody go out of business, right? I mean, hey, Andy, businesses, should they be bailed out because they're too big to fail? I mean,
No. They should have listened. They should have let everyone go out of business in 2008. It would have been so healthy.
isn't that what the economy is all about? Is you
No, that's what capitalism is about.
Yeah. So in the meantime, so that's what we got. It's a mess, and we're going to end on this here, and we'll go to part number 2. Okay, we do it in 2 recordings, just so in case you've been for the whole thing, you don't want to listen to it all again. So let me stop this recording. Listen to my girlfriend talk to me for a minute and tell me she's going to stop it. Hold on. Thank you, darling. Okay, and let me just put my regular page up. Okay. And let's get back to recording. I get those little words whispered to me once again. And what's up for those just tuning in? And this is, of course, the Monday Night Call. And how do you like my cartoon this week? The Jobless. It's amazing. And one of my very good friends, who's an extremely successful owner of a business, and he's got a chance to sell. And I said, if you don't sell, I might have to kill you. I might have to take you and hide you and sell it for you, because your business is very labor intensive. And everywhere I go, there's nothing but help wanted signs, and the prices that they're now paying for help is double the minimum wage, and you can get more. Okay, but listen, let's stay home and get the stimulus checks, because listen, that's, I guess, the American way. I don't know, but get off your ass to get a job, I think. And I think this administration. And this administration is alone guilty for this. They should tell them to get out their ass and get a job. There's 11 million there's 11 million job openings and only 9 million people looking for work. So you tell me. In the meantime,
That's called full employment to me.
in the meantime, once again to you, sir, congratulations, Grandpa Andy, Papa. Anyway.
It's a big promotion.
Yep, and you're going to get promoted again. You only got to get 2 promotions probably within 2 weeks.
Beautiful thing.
Good for you. In the meantime, the Las Vegas event, Friday is the deadline to sign up. If you're going to come, hey, great. We're looking forward. It's going to be a great event as always. And if you're not going to come, hey, no worries either. Listen, we're going to work our ass off and have a great trip, and work real hard for 3 to 2.5 days, and learn a lot and become very proficient in markets. And whether they're good or bad, because we go through drawdowns. We've had a miserable drawdown right now. At the end of the day, nobody hides from it, but we learn from it. And we try to figure out the best way. Okay, but I mean, that's how Andy's got one now. Okay, I'll answer for you. My mom's got 11 great grandchildren. Anyways, so Vegas the deadline is the 15th, and of course, market facts. This is what we talked about last week, right? And this is almost the exact kind of chart pattern that we're seeing right now. Again, I'm not saying it's going to collapse. I'm just saying that I go back to what I said, 20 to 25%. And I don't think it can be up. That's just the way I see it.
The writing is on the wall. I mean,
no, everything is great. Just
the
stay
writing is there. I mean, listen, I will tell you this. Would I be shocked if stocks went up 15 to 20% from you? No, because nothing shocks me. But if they did, the only reason they did is because of asset inflation, because the value of money has gone down. But with you, Bubba, I think that if I have to, gun to my head, pick a side, I think it's lower.
And for right now, yeah, I agree. I mean, we know that historically markets will go up, but the next, listen.
And by the way, thank you so much for the congratulations. And
hey, listen, I think the fourth quarter, and my experience, remember, I was a floor trader as well. The fourth quarter is pretty volatile. And, we've had in history the biggest sell-offs in the fourth quarter. So we'll see.
Again, the reason we haven't got it yet is because everyone expected it. September and October. That's probably the best reason that we didn't get it.
Right. And we're still short basically anyway. So So runaway inflation, big boy. I mean, we can hear these idiots continue to tell us that we don't have inflation or it's transitory or it's temporary. But when you've got ships lined up in both Long Beach and in New Jersey, okay, and you get the cost of goods going up bananas, the cost for shipping is, what's the Baltic Dry Index now, big boy?
56.50 last I looked at it.
What's the all-time high?
I think it's there.
Oh, okay. Gee.
I think it's there.
Do me a favor.
Last year it was 800.
Do me a favor. Explain to everybody what the Baltic Dry Index. That used to be a big art cash. And
The Baltic Dry Index is the freight rate for shipping dry bulk commodities. It's a benchmark. It's not an official freight. It's a benchmark, and all shipping kind of is done just like all oil is benchmarked off Brent or WTI. The Baltic is a it's gone up because there's a container shortage, because fuel prices are through the roof, because there's bottlenecks, supply chain bottlenecks, because there's not enough ships. That's why it's going up. And it's an inflationary sign, a very inflationary sign. And you talk about runaway inflation, Bubba. If you go from commodity to commodity, it's like a relay race in the Olympics. The torch goes from gold last August to grains, to oil and natural gas, to cotton, to sugar, to cocoa. It continues. It's not stopping.
But just remember,
nothing goes in a straight line. But when these things come off, something else is taking the baton.
Just remember,
and that's bullish.
Okay. Just remember this, that all these higher prices, this inflation, you may not be paying it yet, but Walmart and Target and those guys, they're smart. They're going to wait probably another couple of weeks. And once the real Christmas shopping starts, I wouldn't be surprised to see them start raising prices because people are going to buy no matter what.
The dollar store is now $1.25, $1.50. By the way, that's a 25 or 50% increase. Put that across everything. That's significant.
And that ties right into 11 million job openings. Stimulus is idiotic, and it is. Again, I don't believe in stimulus. For those who really need it, same as disability. If you're truly disabled, God bless you. You need to have the help. But unfortunately, in this country, too many know the loopholes to get around it and get to take the money while they're still doing other things. Okay.
Yeah, it makes me nauseous that my 89-year-old mother used her stimulus check to pay her estimated taxes. You tell me if that makes sense.
Of course it doesn't. And it's unbelievable, but rates are going higher as much as they talk them down, and they're going to rise. And look,
every 25 basis point rise on the deficit is $75 billion. Now, the Fed said that they're going to see 4 interest rate hikes by 2023. That's 4 times 75, $225 billion in just debt service, folks. Think about that.
Yeah, well, they'll figure out something, right? I mean, it's why we don't have a 100-year bond, which we talk about almost every week.
Now, my mother will use her stimulus check to pay off the.
I'm going to get a stimulus check. I'm going to retire and get stimulus too, because why should I work?
Why should any of us work?
All right. Americans continue to ignore the warning signs that are right in front of them. And this is as common as it is. We continue. We hide. We like ostriches. We hide in the sand. Okay, everything's okay. I can make my monthly payments. I can buy my house. I can do whatever I got to do.
I got an interesting little corollary. When Capri was born last week, I said to my wife, I said, look at her. What a wonderful, she comes into this world. She's got everything ahead of her and her mind is blank. Everything she learns will be what she knows, right? She comes out, she knows nothing. A lot of people, it's like they don't understand. They don't use their experience to tell them what's going on now is a problem. And that goes to what you wrote here. Americans continue to ignore the warning signs. We've seen it before, folks. If you're at least 30, 40 years old, you've seen this game before. And this is, this time it's worse.
Right. Exactly. I mean, a guy sent me an email today. He says, keep laughing in light of October 2nd Reuters news article dealing with JP Morgan, silver manipulation, multi-million dollar settlements, fake buy and sellers, according to U.S. regulators, and the latest Florida Silver Mining Company, October lawsuit for the same. I filed the complaint about you and and Kitco, especially about your rosy articles that claim there is no manipulation.
Everybody, let's end this. Every market is manipulated. Who cares? All that matters is the price.
Maybe I'll bet
Price
on
at
the
any
reverse.
time, at any one time is where a buyer and a seller meet in a transparent environment. I don't care about manipulation.
Right. Well, it's going to come up one more time, I promise. Okay. In the meantime, the call starts with the words of wisdom from our friend Connie, who sends them in all the time every week for me, and she takes the notes, and our heads are around so that we can change direction. I mean, what a quote. You're always on top.
By the way, that's the beat poet, Allen Ginsberg.
You must be inside my head. You're always thinking about the things that I have to talk about, and you always come up with them, and unbelievable. Nice job, Connie. And of course, her new category, which is the State of the Union. Mice die in mouse traps because they think the cheese is free.
I like that. That's real good.
That's a true home run, my dear.
That's good. That's good.
That is, this is where we always go. And of course, I'm sure you've heard, or maybe you didn't hear, but another conservative organization got kicked off of Facebook. Just more of the same. And of course, I know I've been bitching for an hour.
Facebook's going to get kicked off Facebook soon.
But I get one more. This is my official bitch. Okay, how I sneak it in. But of course, it is the gold and silver bugs that continue to cry manipulation. And I go, hey, if you're pushing your price lower, okay, then you should be happy. You're buying at a lower price. What do you care?
Right.
The one thing that we all know about markets, if you don't know this, you shouldn't be trading. Okay, you should not be involved in a market if you don't know this. But if there's a seller, somebody's got to become a buyer. And somebody last week said to me, he wrote me this long, nasty email, and I go, how come all the bids dried up? I said, because nobody wants to buy it. I mean, that's not new. That's been going on. I've been doing this for 44 years.
Why don't you take a different tack, Bubba? When you get an email like that, tell them, because I have inside information. All the sellers went to the potential buyers. They put a gun to their head, tell them that they'll pull the trigger if they buy, because you know what? They'll believe that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. In the meantime, look, a market takes two sides, whatever, manipulated or not. It takes buyers and sellers to make a trade. Okay, if you don't have buyers, then the market's going to continue to go down until it finds buyers, which is what is known as price discovery. Okay, that is how markets function, whether they are controlled or manipulated or not. Even the dollar, which is the biggest manipulated product, along with the other currencies around the globe, have to find price discovery, and there has to be a buyer and a seller to exchange wealth. It's that simple. So it has no interest in me whether it's manipulated or not manipulated. At the end of the day, guess what? Okay. If I'm long, I'm happy if it's going up, and if I'm short, I'm happy if it's going down. And if I'm wrong, I'll reverse and get with the trend. And that's as simple as that. So that will be it for the bitching session. Now we'll get back to business. But it's incredible. Okay, the way that you should be happy if you're a buyer and it's getting manipulated lower. You should celebrate.
That crowd has been around
For as long as I've been in this business, the gold and silver crowd. And the gold and silver crowd have been crying manipulation when gold was below 300, and they're crying it now at 1750. They were crying it when silver was $3, and now silver is $22 and change. So they're going to always be, they're going to always be miserable. I think they're happiest in their misery.
Right. And Connie just said, she just did a big show in DC, and this is the perfect words. It's worth what someone's supposed to want. The goods are worth what somebody's supposed to pay for them.
Exactly.
That's all.
Exactly right.
It's no different than you go to a grocery store. Okay, they don't negotiate price, but if one's got something that's too expensive, you go to a different one.
You have two choices. You could buy it or you could not.
You're exactly right.
Right.
Anyways, so the Dow, Yankee Michael. Okay, we use the futures for those who don't know. And
one more thing before you get into it.
Yeah,
it's all about supply and demand. So yesterday, the Bears played the Raiders here in Vegas.
Yep.
And the tickets are like off the, to go to the game for a mediocre seat, you got to pay $700 to $1,500.
Right.
Yesterday, Southwest Airlines had a big problem. They canceled a lot of flights. The tickets were going for $100. It's all supply and demand. It's a perfect lesson in markets. If there's too much supply, the prices go down.
The market crash.
Right.
My wife is a ticket broker, and I've seen this, and markets almost always invariably collapse because the excitement to get them first is the big deal, and then once it's done, it's done. And there wasn't.
It's a market, right? All markets are the same.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
On the same dynamics.
All charts are the same. All markets are the same, and that's the end of the day.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. Okay, off to the races.
YM Yankee Michael still the strongest of the bunch, but in a downtrend. Look, the trend has not changed. It failed from resistance twice in the last week. Okay, and as you know, that's when you sell double tops. You sell double tops.
Lower highs, man. Lower highs there, kind of consistent.
Yep. And right now we're going to say, 34.8 or so, maybe a little bit higher, but it's a 34.8. Believe it or not, I have to go to 33.6. It's a big range, but if we're going to get the kind of movement we've seen recently, okay, then that is not that big of a range. Okay, 33.6 to 34.8, but I would suspect that 34,000 will be a temporary hold if it gets there. Okay, and that's typical with whole numbers. They will tend to pause markets. Levels, the trend will always prevail over time. But there are numbers or levels that will always pause a market from going up or down. Okay, and then it usually will continue. Okay, but 33.6 to 34.8. Okay, and then the S&P Echo Sierra.
And by the way, the biggest chance of a whoosh down will come when you no longer hear about the seasonality and all this stuff.
Right.
When you least expect it.
Listen, that's the funny thing. Complacency is the architecture of our downfall. That's always been the case. In the meantime, the S&P continues to fail. Okay, and again, listen, it's not like we're going to zero yet. It's not like they've collapsed, but the trend is lower. You can see it. I didn't change any of these lines from last week, and you can just draw a continuation from here, and we're headed south. Okay, now right now we can see that 43.50 held the support a couple of times. I'm telling you that you're probably looking at 4,300 next, and I think we're probably 43 to 44. And don't kid yourself, today's range, what the hell was today's range? It was huge. For a holiday Monday, today's range was 60 points.
I'm writing it off that they canceled the holiday.
Indigenous.
The Indigenous holiday.
It's Indigenous Day. Okay. In the meantime, 43 to 44. Okay. And the NASDAQ, November, Quebec, again, it's weak. Okay. Again, it's not that I want it to be weak. Listen, bottom line is I'm net long, even if I'm short, between with my retirement and all my invested money, I'm net long, but I'm hedged, so I don't worry about it. But in the meantime, this looks like it's headed south. 15,000, as we thought, would be pretty solid resistance, and it has been. It's actually a double top on Friday, right at 15,000. Here we are at 14.7, probably on our way to 14.4. Okay, I think we're 14.4 to 15,000. Okay, and of course the Russell, which is it is amazing when you look at this. Look at what's going on here. It refuses to go anywhere. Is that amazing?
It's funny you say, look what's going on here, but when you look, nothing's going on there.
Isn't that amazing that it refuses to move anywhere?
Nothing. Watch it. It's watching paint dry.
I mean, it is. Now, again, all this means the tighter the range, the bigger the move is going to be when it comes. But it's, again, you can't tell when or what. Right now, it's just in this real deep consolidation. Okay, so for levels, kind of 22, 23. Okay, watch 2250 though. That could be the 2250 could be new resistance. Okay, I can't clarify it yet because we're still really in tight consolidation. And of course, the VIX has come off a little bit. And once again, as I say to you all the time, these big spikes are worthless because they're always going to come right back. And of course, we've actually broken down And I think the key for volatility or for the volatility index is going to be right around $18 or 18, whatever.
I think 18, the zone between 18 and 15 is the new 8 to 10.
Probably.
Yeah.
That would not surprise me at all. Remember, one of the reasons that volatility keeps falling after a scary event for a moment is there's so much news flow information. When's the last time we really had a surprise? Okay, I mean, a real surprise. It was totally unexpected. Never, not in any recent history, other than COVID. But
87, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, look, the more information comes out, the lesser the volatility is going to be. It's really that simple. Okay. Anyways, so to the stock market, to the bad cake. Okay, and of course, Apple, Alpha Papa Lima, which we are still short, and it's amazingly, it came off of 140. What a shock. I mean, we thought that 140 might act as some support. To me, you're looking at 140 to 145. I believe that's the exact same numbers I gave you last week, 140 to 145. Okay. And AMD, Alpha Michael Delta.
With a bias to the downside.
Yep. Oh, no, the trend is lower. And Alpha Michael Delta, AMD, again, I gave you last week, I believe, either 96 to 104 or 100 to 108, one of the two. In the meantime, it's 100 to 108. And we are still short this as well. Okay. Now, thanks to Charlie Munger and gang, okay, they ran BABA, and unfortunately, they triggered us to reverse. What can I say? I mean, I would have liked to have sold it into this rally today, and it did fail pretty miserably from 170 where it was earlier. But again, when somebody like Buffett or Munger or those guys come out with green mail, which is no longer called green mail, but they disclose, the whole world chases them up. Okay. And it's no surprise, Andy, I don't think, that China's stocks had a little bit of a pop anyways. They were really beaten down in the ground.
They got decimated. I mean, they got decimated. But the trend is, the long-term trend in the Chinese stocks has been horrible. But
Right.
We've said this also. The market was susceptible to bargain hunting.
Yes, I agree. Look, I don't like it.
Listen, Munger's purchase surprised me because I would have thought that they would stay clear of that. But I guess they see no real value in the U.S. stock market, so that's why they're going there.
It's red poison. Anyways, I'm long. I'm not thrilled about it, but I am long. And again, we'll see. In the meantime, 160 to 170 would be the levels to watch. Okay, 160 to 170. Okay, and this kind of pattern though is almost an automatic sell from a trading standpoint. Just FYI. Okay, but in the meantime, 160 to 170, and of course, Bitcoin soup, Andy calls it, Bravo India Tango Quebec. It came right off of that 21 level we thought it might, and it popped up here, and it's around 25-ish. Look, it's kind of mid-range of everything, right? It's really in the middle of nowhere still. It has not.
It's kind of underperforming Bitcoin.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Now, again, one thing about Bitcoin is it's a little bit thinner, and it's a little bit harder to trade for many, which is why we use this not as a vehicle to really trade actively, but it's really a substitute for some of you who would like to get into the crypto world, okay, but don't want to take the exposure or deal with the
exactly. And I look at this, folks, as it's like lumber and Weyerhaeuser or the wood ETF. You're going to get a lot less volatility in those, but they're gonna correlate well. You have to think of this product as the same in relation to Bitcoin.
I agree. Okay, so look, at 24, I would probably look for a pullback to like 23 or 22. But if you bought it here, again, if you're buying this, you're buying it because you want to play the crypto world. Be prepared for the volatility that comes with it. That's all I can say about that. From a charting standpoint, I do think 24 looks like it's pretty good, solid support. Okay, so certainly my first look would be at 24. CGC, Charlie Golf Charlie, continues to get decimated, dribble down. Now, we only cover these stocks. We do carry CGC in one of the portfolios, which has been short, okay, and it remains short, okay?
These stocks, Bubba, are like the Giants and Jets of the stock market.
Yes, I agree. And, you know, this is, now, I will say this, and I'll get to your question about Bitcoin in a minute, or the two ETFs in a minute. The difference here is in the last week or so, there has been not excitement, but a little bit more positive price action that indicates something might be going on below the surface. I am not telling you that it is. I am saying that's how it looks like to me, that something certainly could be going on beneath the surface of the market. Any thought there?
They really need to hurry up and have something going on below the surface of the markets, because these companies are burning cash and they can't survive. We talked about it last week that, you know, Altria and the others could be standing there ready to own this business when it really takes off, and then franchise out to independents who are going to run these dispensaries. But they need the federal government to move quickly for them to survive, because they're going to burn through. They have no banking lines.
Right. So, I mean, it certainly,
High risk.
there are certainly some real potential problems here. Okay. And look, you're only, if you play this other than the portfolio models, you're gambling. And I have no problem with it.
And by the way, if the government does move within the next weeks or months, these stocks will go ballistic and they will do very well. But it's, you know, and it's risk reward. I mean, you know, listen, if you're going to buy it, you're gambling, like Bubba says. You're going to spend $13. It's like, look at it like a crypto. Be prepared to lose the $13, but you couldn't get back 60.
Right. Again, this is a straight.
It's a decent risk reward, but you know, you got a lot of risk.
It's a straight gamble trade if you want to make it. That's the bottom line. Okay. Chewy, Charlie, Hotel, Whiskey, Yankee.
Yuck. Another one.
Listen,
terrible.
These are the service stocks, right? These are the stocks.
And this is, by the way, and this is the reason Bubba and I follow the rules and follow the trends, because we both love this company. We're customers. We really like this customer. But when the system says sell, we sell. And this is the reason why.
Right. Exactly. Because, you know, at the end of the day,
we're not smarter than the trend.
No. And we are short this, of course. But right now, you're looking at probably 60 and possibly below. I mean, 56 would not be out of the question. I think it's probably right now 60 to 68. Okay, but we're not a buyer. Remember, if I'm holding a short position, I'm not a buyer. I'm not covering.
No.
Okay. Oh,
hey, Bubba, BitQ versus.
I forgot. I said I would answer. I forgot. It's 9 a.m. Yeah, I know you got to go to work, baby. I get it. Australia's what, 14 hours ahead or 16 hours ahead of us, I think. Anyways, BitQ, I don't really know. Do you know
I think that the BitQ is, like I call it, Bitcoin soup. That's kind of a joke, but it's got a lot of stuff in it that's related. And the trust, I always had a little bit of a problem with the trust because I'm not so sure it really holds Bitcoin. You know, the trust is, I kind of prefer the BitQ to the GBTC. It's just because I think it has a little bit better liquidity. Don't you think, Bubba?
I agree. And the one problem with both of them is some brokers don't let you trade it.
Right.
So I think they're equal. GB, what the hell is it? Someone on?
I will say, I like Coinbase better than both of them.
I agree. And GBT,
I do. If I'm going to, that's my chosen proxy.
Right. I agree. Would you buy and hedge Chewy? Yeah, I already did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I would.
Yes.
Okay. Coin, another nice pop today. And look, it came down to 220 around that area, which is what we said.
I really think that eventually we will see new highs in this stock, even though it traded to a crazy level on the first day of trading. But this is the pick and shovel play. And this is the play I like the best, because this is the one, this is the CME and ICE. You know, they're going to make salami slices on every transaction.
Right. 240 to 280. Okay.
They're the casino.
100%. They're the bookies, according to Billy Ray Valentine. Right. Okay. And Curl F, and this is just another gambling side. It's a different gamble out of the pot space. This is the retail stores, which I see everywhere. You know, it's funny. Once I see a name, I see them everywhere now. But
right.
Look, the reason I don't trade this is because it's got no option. So I can't create a position. I don't want to buy this shit. I'm not ready for this.
The problem with these stocks, Bubba, is simple.
They can be, you can see, get a tremendous reverse split on them eventually.
Oh, yeah.
They could
I've been there
disintegrate
before. I know.
on cash, on the cash burn. They need the government to act. That's what I'm saying here. They need
All I
to-
can say is this: if I could buy it in my retirement account, I would.
Right.
I can't.
No, I
No,
don't disagree, but you would know it. It's a spec. It's a
Yeah.
spec.
If I could buy it there, I would, but I can't, so I don't.
Right. And would you be surprised if it joined the dust collectors collection?
You mean the NAs I have? The
Right, the NAs.
37 pages of yeah.
It could.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
I have enough.
It could be 100 and it could be a tenth of a penny.
I'm the only guy who gets a statement that's got 40 pages of worthless. Okay. Anyways, DraftKings, Delta Kilo November Golf. Okay. Now, in the portfolios, we are short this. Annie and I both like the company a lot.
Again, same as Chewy. You got to follow the trend, but this stock has been disappointing.
Well,
The action is enormous.
it's unbelievable. They're not even the two biggest states, but I think also, they're going to be allowed in Vegas eventually, right? Vegas is prepping because Vegas is non-competitive to these apps that are out there. Okay. You go to these apps, you can bet on it just about anything. Okay. They got all kinds of props. In Vegas, you get nothing. Okay. I'm the only guy who's got to call back to my son and say, hey, I want to bet this, like tonight, for a perfect example. Okay. I want to bet Mo Alley Cox anytime touchdown at 6-1. Okay. In the football game time. Can't do it here. I got to call my son. Say, we put it in DraftKings for me. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, because they won't give it here. They're going to have to. Okay. In the meantime, it's in a pretty tight range, probably 47 to 50. Okay. I own this and I'm hedged it, but I'm obviously short.
I own it too.
Yeah.
I own it too. But look, it is what it is.
I own a lot of it, but in the meantime, I love it. I do believe over time it's a 10 bagger. Okay. But again, it could torture you while it's trying to get there, but gambling ain't going away. Okay, that I can vouch for.
Yeah, as I said, I look at this as like a Tesla kind of situation. Tesla tortured the believers for years.
I know, and then
For years.
they tortured me as a non-believer after that.
I-
That's why I wouldn't even trade anymore. Anyways, 47 to 50, fast Foxtrot Alpha Sierra. Again, of course, it remained long, and it's still pushing higher.
Higher interest rates, folks, are bullish for the financial institutions. I don't
Andy,
know.
why is that? I do know why, but why is that? Why are higher?
Because they're going to make more money on the massive amounts of capital that they have.
Oh, the spread, right? They get
Massive,
the
and the spread, and where they lend and they borrow, forget it. They borrow it cheap from the Fed and they lend out at big, and the rates go up. The bottom line is, bingo, bonanza for Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan.
Not
and
today,
all
but
of
yes,
these companies.
that's correct.
Bingo bonus.
In the meantime, 120 to no resistance.
And by the way, who do you think the bond market vigilantes are?
Goldman Sachs.
Right.
Anyways,
Thank you.
Private. I gotta congrat my private. Gave me 3 blue plate specials on over the weekend, 3-0. And I says, oh, Boston tonight over. Okay, I'm in. Private, you're the best. You're a great handicapper. In the meantime, 120 to 130. But I'm not a seller at 130 yet. Okay. Facebook, look what happened. Oh, you go vote.
That's politics, baby.
Down it goes. And
We said it last Monday. We said after that whistleblower, this is a problem for them. And it's being reflected in the share action.
Right. We got, we're short, so it's a good thing. And probably 320 to 340. And if you remember, I told you on that big spike up, you probably want to be a seller. And
by the way, Bubba, Congress does not agree on anything.
No.
The one thing they agree on is they all hate Facebook.
Yeah.
They hate Zuckerberg, Republicans and Democrats alike. They hate him with a passion. They hate him. They don't hate Bezos. They don't hate Musk. They hate Zuckerberg.
Oh, because he's a
The
putz.
bottom line is that stock is reflecting this.
When you look in the dictionary, they're putz. There you get Zuckerberg's picture.
Well, he hasn't played the game very smart.
No, he doesn't. And that's why. And besides the fact that obviously they expose your information to everybody.
He was in my late aunt, my mother's sister's class. in Ardsley, New York. She was a
Wow.
middle school teacher.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Very interesting. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo. Popping up, must be AOC working her magic, but we're short this, unfortunately. And
Guaranteed on every house. It must be put in. Government will pay.
yeah, we're unfortunately short. I would suspect that tomorrow morning we won't be short anymore, but that I don't have any idea, but that's a guess. In the meantime, for today, 97.50 to 107.50.
Maybe they should make her the CEO and get her out of Congress.
Yeah, maybe she, she wouldn't take the pay cut.
Well, you can
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, there's big money in those political jobs, baby. 97.50 to 107.50.
I will tell you, 20 years down the road, she will be the wealthiest, because she is smart. She knows how to use that social media. She will turn it into a lot of money.
Okay.
That I bet on.
So now we'll be getting high while gambling on DraftKings with crypto coins from Coinbase, feeding our dogs street. There you go. That's exactly
a good idea.
That's why you're such a smart guy. Okay. GDX, a little bit of a pop, failed, right word, should have failed. This is not a crazy acting stock. It's a minor. Okay. And, as Andy will tell you, the miners underperform as a rule. And when they do perform, they will perform very well, but that's few and far between right now.
Right. In a bearish situation, this is something you need to avoid. You're better off with gold in the bearish situation because you'll lose dollar for dollar. Here, you'll lose a magnifier.
You lose 2 for everyone.
Right, at least.
Unless
you go for Nugget and J-Nug, then you lose 5 times as much.
You get a bonus. You get to lose more.
But when it does come time to buy, those are the things to look at.
Basically, there's no real range, 30 to 31. I mean, again, it's not something that we're going to trade. I just actually put it on so we could track it, because I know a lot trade the miners. So that's the reason I put it on. I mean, I don't think we'll ever make a trade on this call. Goldman Sachs, reached resistance, came down, but now again, it's got a not a bear trend, and it's really in consolidation. But the longer term trend is still significantly higher.
And remember, higher interest rates are
the higher interest rates,
they turbocharge earnings for this company.
and they got earnings
like
coming
you
out.
never saw.
Your earnings come out in about 2 weeks or so. Well, actually,
And they'll beat, and it's free money, folks. It's free money for them. They don't have to do anything.
right.
They make billions when interest rates go up.
So, it's the same as the overnight rate we talk about. So remember that. But in the meantime, right now, we are still short Goldman. Okay. And,
Yeah, because if the market does correct, like we think it probably will, everything will go down.
well, it just, listen, the stronger stuff will hold up first, but eventually you get a big enough sell off, it all falls.
Capitulation.
They go after everything.
Right. And nothing makes beautiful lows like capitulation.
IWM, India Whiskey Michael, just like the Russell. I mean, we're shorted, but it ain't going anywhere. It's really
And one warning, because when you have the capitulation, that's where your impulses will lead you to sell unless you're hedged. That's where you will not be able to resist the fear. Better to feel the fear now than feel it then.
That's the old, when you can see their tonsils, and boy, the joke used to be, before electronic trading, when you see the widows and orphans lining up at the broker's firm to sell, that's the time to be a buyer. Now, when you
Andy Hall used to say, he used to walk around the trading room. There were like 300 traders on it, and he would look for who was green. And he would go out, find out what his position was, force him out, and make sure that he bought 3 times as much.
Right. Exactly.
That was his strategy.
Hey, it's a good strategy, actually.
Yeah.
Mara, Michael Alpha Romeo Alpha, and again, this has performed far better.
Oh yeah,
Riot, and it's actually, it's like accelerating over Riot, which is odd from where it was.
Well, it's actually on a percentage basis
22.25.
keeping up with Bitcoin,
Right.
which is good. I mean, it's a nice proxy. It's probably the best proxy out there right now.
If anybody knows where these companies are based, that may be the answer as to why one is now far over.
One is in Colorado, one is in Vegas.
Which one's in Vegas? Mara must be in Vegas.
I think Riot's in Vegas.
Really? Well, energy costs are very high here. That'd be a strange combo. Okay. In the meantime,
I'm not sure, but I know one's Colorado, one's.
I mean, it made a nice little bit of a bullish bottom, almost a W on the bottom. Okay, and it looks like it's going to test 48, maybe higher. I mean, I would look at this right now from 40 to 50. Okay, and again, remember, the wider that Bitcoin gets, the wider these are going to get. So 40 to 50. NEO had a little bit of a bounce last week, but right up to resistance, and of course, we're still short this. Okay, and right here, probably 37 to 32. But another Chinese stock that did not have quite the benefit from as Baba did, but I guess Charlie Munger didn't buy this one yet, or maybe they. I'm not sure
if he's going to buy this one. I don't know if he's going to buy this one. I think he's probably more likely to buy Didi.
Maybe. Okay. In the meantime, NEO 32 to 37, and Nugget the miner on steroids. Again, this is very ugly. Okay. And of course, remember that these big leverage ETFs are just like very overpriced options. They decay on their own without anything happening. Okay. And that's because, they work. For those who don't know, the leverage ETFs work off of a multiplier. Okay. And the multiplier resets every day. So if it sits, it kind of decays by itself.
Right. The best way to look at it is owning a call option with limited time, and basically, if the market doesn't move, you're going to lose a little bit each day. It's the same principle. Right.
100%. NVIDIA. Okay. I'm sorry. 40 to 48, Connie. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, 40 to 48. And NVIDIA, November Victor Delta Alpha, which we are short. Look, I mean, it's not getting punished. Again, some of these stronger ones will hold up longer. If I'm right, they're all going to collapse. Okay. The sellers are going to come if it's time, and it may or may not be time. Okay. I do believe that it is, but I could be wrong. So, that's why I don't use my opinion to trade with, but just based on the action. In the meantime, looking at this, it looks to me like about 195 to 220. 195 to 220.
Chip shortage.
Yep. Potato chip shortage.
By the way, created by China.
That's a great control.
Well, who else would do that? Listen, they got so many chips. How many billions of computers they got running for mining for Bitcoin?
Chips, baby, chips. It's all about the chips.
I always laugh.
Taiwan semiconductor. That's a big worry.
Everybody wanted to buy the special computers for mining from China. I go, oh, that's good. You'll be right ahead of them. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be faster than there. Anyways, Penn National, Papa Echo November, another gambling.
Hanging in a lot better than DraftKings.
Mm-hmm. And this is holding in here. Of course, it was 140. Now it's in the 70s. And of course, this is the same principle with the racetracks instead of fantasy football behind, or fantasy sports behind it. But again, we're short this. But I listen, I'm a big fan of the gambling space in general. I live in Vegas part-time, but it's only growing. Okay. It's only a growing entity that shows no sign of slowing down. And the more that we have, people are indoctrinated to some sort of gambling, the more they're going to be involved, and they're holding your money. So, it doesn't make any sense, but we are shorted. And right now, I think it's probably 70 to 80. Okay. The Q's, Quebec. Okay. And of course, we are short this as well. And the trend is just pathetic. Okay. And I would say here probably 350 to 365. Okay. And trust me, if it does go down, it could go down awfully quick. I mean, today, what was the high today? The high today was 363. Okay. Close at 358. It's not that big a deal for it to move $5. Okay. So anyways, 350 to 365. Riot. Now, this is the one that does obviously shock me. If you look at Mara, they're both basically the same. Mars popping nicely, and Riot can't get off the bottom, can't get off the deck. Okay. To me, this is 27 to 30 when I look at it. Now, we don't trade this other than we've got some, some other options or whatever, and it was just a way to play the Bitcoin world. Okay. But this has not participated at all with the move in Bitcoin recently. Okay. If you look at the crypto move here, we'll mark this from a recent high at 29.20 on September 16th. It's actually down. Okay. And Bitcoin at that same time is skyrocketing. So that's problematic. That smells like problems to me. And we've talked about this almost every week, that there's something wrong. And maybe it's the energy cost. We don't know. In the meantime,
I'm trying
watch
to look where
27.
these companies are. I'm having a hard time on my iPhone, but I'm looking.
It's 27 to 30. Okay. Roku, Romeo Oscar Kilo Uniform. And of course, we are still short this as well. Look, no surprise, it popped up to 320. I thought actually, I think I gave 340 last week, but now to me, 330, 300, and I would not be at all surprised to see it break below 300. Okay, 300 to 330. Okay. The SPYs, Sierra Papa Yankee, no question in a downtrend. And, of course, we're short. And I would say 440. I'd probably call this 425 to 440. Okay. Square Dance. It's amazing how much we've got trapped in this garbage. But this is one of the problems when you're trading stocks. They're a little more volatile. We just got long and now it's falling apart again as we were just short, down. In the meantime, we're long this. I don't like the way it looks at all. But again, I'm not going to argue with what happens. But of course, you get these moves that push just far enough. This is the challenge of what we call wide sweeping congestion. It always creates an issue. It's got to have follow through when it's done. In the meantime, based on the algorithm, I'm going to say that this is 220 support and 250 resistance, but it should go through all that if it's going to actually continue. But again, one of the biggest things in markets in general, if you're trading the trend, you need follow through. Consolidation is never your friend when you're trading a trend trading based system.
So riots in Rockdale, Texas, and Whinstone, in Messina, New York, which is upstate New York.
Wow.
And they have they're basically franchised out, but that's where all their computing is. So Texas makes sense. Now I think Mara is Vegas, but I'm going to check that right now.
All right, good. Tilray, this is the last of our gambling stocks in the pot industry. They're unique because they own what used to be Aurora. So they're Canadian and US. Again, if you want to play this, if you are purely gambling, there's no fundamental reason to buy a stock like this. Okay. You're gambling on a $10 stock. Okay. So we gave you a $10, $11, and a $13 stock if you want to gamble on legalization of pot. There is no levels for this. Tango, Quebec, and of course we were short, and this is going to be probably 120 to 140. Okay, this is the leverage version of the Qs. Tesla, amazingly.
Before you do Tesla, Mara in Montana, corporate headquarters in Las Vegas, Nevada.
All right, well, yeah, but and Montana is very friendly to Bitcoin. To crypto.
Right. So North Town Center, right near where you are right now, handsome.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll go visit them. Maybe I'll go grab a couple computers. Anyways, Tesla, as we said last week, look at this. Now, with all the turbulence in the markets, Tesla just continues to grind higher. Looks like it's headed back to 840 now. And again, the levels are the same, but you are seeing some liftoff. I don't trade it because
let me tell you what's lifting off. Musk's wealth. He's number one.
I know.
He's lifted off, baby.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, he's
a smart guy. I mean, I like his irreverence. I take him over Bezos any day. Okay. I root for him.
I agree. I agree with you. Okay. Anyway, 760 to 840. And the VIXI, Victor, X-ray. Okay. And we got trapped in this for 2 days and we got long for a minute. Now we're back to short. And, as I say, the only reason we carry this in the portfolios is really for the long side of the market when the markets are going down, because this thing will disintegrate on its own but it does not go down hard until they reverse split it again and it gets up in the 40s or 50s.
You know, it acts like an option because it's the basis for all options.
Right.
Right.
So it's a, you know, like I said, it's really in play because of the potential of a sell-off and or a rise in volatility, not because of any other reason. And which is why
Well, if Bubba is right, and you are going to get you get a 20 to 25% sell-off in the markets, this thing will go to $120.
probably right. I agree.
Well, hi.
Good. You got some?
No, that's what I said. That's
Okay.
all.
Win Whiskey Yankee November. Now we are still short this at the moment. Again, I did love it. You know, thinking about it down here. In fact, you know, we did put on a bullish, even though we're short in the portfolio, we did put on a bullish position, and it is breaking out. This is interesting. My guess is it's probably going to reverse tomorrow. I'm not even going to give this levels, Connie, because I think it's going to probably reverse. The movement's been pretty solid. And then XBI, X-Ray Bravo India, continues just to hover between 120 and 128. And Zoom continues to just go down. Okay, and we remain short. So at the end of the day, you know,
It's interesting. Zoom, Bubba. You know, that was the quintessential kind of stuck at home social distancing stock.
right.
And, you know, while a lot of people use Zoom, and hey, we're using it now, it's really suffered.
220, 220. I gave that one. You got that, I think, right?
It's suffering in the post pandemic era where we're allowed out of our cages and now.
Yeah, but you know what I do think, look, I'm glad we're short it. And you and I talked about this when it was 500. And I think that eventually there'll be a middle ground because
We'll find a bottom because it's good technology. But you know, right now it looks.
Is that you anonymous, Connie? I don't know if it is you or not. Okay. But if you're talking about
that's her. Yeah.
I was talking about IWM 220 to 225.
She went incognito.
Yeah. I usually don't answer anonymous. So in the meantime, you know, I think there'll be a middle ground. You certainly can see there's not as much business travel as there was. And I think
it is searching for a bottom, which is always dangerous.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Zoom is 240 to 260. Okay. And, you know, look, I think the overall market action has been very solid. Okay. Not whether it's going up or down, but that there's been two-way trade. You know, again, I'm a big fan of markets that trade on both sides, right? You see big up, big down. You see them trading back and forth, and that creates opportunity for traders. That creates opportunity for markets to move. That also creates the potential for what I suspect that will be a 20, 25% move. And again, I could be either direction, but I don't think there's enough energy to get it to go up 25%, but I do think there's enough to get it to go down. So we'll see. Again, I'm not putting my life on it. I'm giving you an opinion based on the action we see. And if there's anything you want me to look at real quick, we'll give you a few minutes to look at a couple of stocks. Otherwise,
could you look at Valero?
What's that?
Victor Lima Oscar.
Oh, Valero. Yeah, I can look at Valero. I know Valero symbol. What do you think? I know most of them if I've heard of them before. Valero looks pretty good, which it should, right? I mean,
it should look good. I mean, to me, this doesn't move with oil. You know, a lot of people make the mistake. They think, oh, I like oil. I'm going to buy it because I'm going to buy a refiner because it's going to go up. This goes up and down with the refining margins, which have been very strong.
Right.
So, you know, this is a stock I like. I like the action in this stock.
Right. You know, so I think that's good. And, you know, listen, it does fit. And of course, the refining is good and all the spreading that goes on for it. So at the end of the day, as we say, look, the best thing you can ever play is defense. Okay. Defense wins championships, as I say. Oh, here's a couple of stocks I want to look at. Prague, Papa Romeo, Oscar Golf. I don't look. I'm going to tell you what I think of this. Nothing. I don't get involved in penny stocks. Obviously, you're gambling on something. Anytime you're playing a stock like this, as I said, I've got sheets and sheets and sheets of these stocks. Okay, that were can't misses. Okay, this is like pissing in the wind. Looking at that, unless you have some information or there's some kind of technology they got that you think is going to get approved. But these are the winners, in these are few and far between. And I would find it hard to believe that most people in general who play these ever make any money overall. Okay. That's just my opinion. Okay. CMP, Charlie Michael Papa. I mean, look at this is just, right kind of in the same pattern as almost everything else is. A lot of just kind of winding around. I think it's just in big consolidation. Looks fine. Obviously I don't know what their dividend is, but I'm assuming it's probably pretty good. I would suspect that, it's going to continue in the same pattern. I don't see anything that would change my mind here. It's just, I wouldn't buy it here because I think that probably 70s resistance. But if I were looking for a spot, I'd probably look at 65 as a potential spot to get in. Okay, Qualcomm. What is that symbol? QUAL? Is that what it is now still? I don't even remember anymore. No, QCOM, I think, right? QCOM? I believe not now that I think about it. Yeah, it's QCOM. Don't look too good now, but I would say this. In fact, I had lunch with somebody the other day who said, should I sell my Qualcomm? I said, why? Why would you want to sell it? You've made a fortune on it now anyways. I mean, you're holding this for the long term. Okay, again, if you're investing, you should not be trading. This is a hold that you had and you want to continue to hold and hedge it. That's all. There's no reason to sell it. Just hedge it and accumulate some more. But overall, I mean, it looks pretty bad right now. Certainly it's in a downtrend, but I don't see, again, I don't get nervous about downtrends unless I'm not hedged or unless something has fundamentally changed from the company. Okay. Like the only example I can remember off the top of my head right now is General Electric. In the meantime, if I were going to trade this, I'd be buying it right now and hedging it right now. Okay.
Bubba, someone's asking about the airline stocks. It's so hard to like an airline stock with oil doing what it's doing.
Is that the captain? It's got to be. Let me see who that is. I know. I never like.
So hard.
I never liked airline stocks. I do own a lot of American. Okay, because I thought it was cheap once upon a time. Okay, but I don't like any airline stocks. They pop, and the industry itself. First of all, I really believe that the industry itself is going to change. Okay. I don't believe there's going to be as much business travel. I believe that they're going to have to be more competitive on price. And I know that, for example, American, which I unfortunately own a bunch of, is their debt is so high. I don't think they can ever get out.
And how about the possibility that the socialist government decides to nationalize them?
Yeah. So, Prague's biotech. Okay. Hey, look, like I said, if you have a reason to play it and you think you have some information, God bless. I mean, listen, as I said, I probably have 500 NAs on my statements. Okay.
I got a couple too, boy.
Listen, when you're on the trading floor, this is a deal. This is going to happen. And those days you had some information.
The tip.
It didn't work. Okay. There he is. I knew he'd show up eventually. Oh, DT. I just put it up. I didn't talk about. This looks great. Whatever it is, it looks great. Okay. This is breaking out beautifully. Okay. And I would say I'd like to be a buyer that's probably around 69 or 70. Okay. I know what they are, who they are. I don't know anybody. Okay. But to me, looking at this chart, this looks phenomenal, especially under the current conditions of the market. Okay. So
what kind of company is that?
I have no idea. Do you think I know?
Dynatrace. It's a hard one from their name to figure out what they do.
Dynatrace. I have no idea what they are. Okay. But that looks great. Whoever asked it looks great. Net. November Echo Tango. Cloud. What is that? Was that always their symbol? It looks pretty good too. Look at this. Came right down to 110 support, which would have been a spot that I would have identified, okay, as a potential support level, and bang, popped right back up again. I mean, look, I don't trade this, but if I did, I'd be looking at 130 as a spot to step in. If not, maybe even a little higher, maybe 135. But I'm never. One thing I will say to you, unless I'm hedging it, I'm never in a hurry because I don't see any reason. Hot meals are back. What about the cheese plate I get? And on United, I get a Belgian waffle when I come out here.
I had it too. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's good. Anyways, I'd look at this at 130. I mean, this looks pretty good. Okay, beautiful breakout pattern. I mean, this is almost a cup and handle type pattern. I don't trade that because it takes forever to develop, but it's pretty bullish. Okay, and AMRS, Alpha Michael Romeo Sierra. Alpha Michael Romeo Sierra. This don't look too good. This looks pretty sick. Okay, now again, I don't know what they are, what they do, why you own it, if you do. $12 stock. I mean, I have no idea. I'd have to have a story. I don't own any stock that I own that's in this price range. I'm gambling with. Okay, for whatever reason. What is this? I have no idea what they are or what they do. I could care less. You know what they are?
No, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
But I'm not a big fan.
Biotech.
Biotech. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, it could be something, you know, again, if you have information you think is valid, okay, they could pop it. But, you know, this always goes back to what I say all the time. Okay. Is you would the only one who's got information? That information is all over the place. So, you know, Lockheed Martin, you know, look, this is, you know, defense. This is a dividend payer. This is going to run, you know, usually it runs like, you know, now in recent history, you know, 320 up to the 400 low. I mean, I would never sell. If I owned it, I would never sell it. How's that? Okay.
It pays a big dividend, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if I owned it, I would never sell it. I don't own it. And I don't, you know, I'm not, I mean, but I do like the company. I think they're a great company. So, you know, right here, you may be at some resistance. I would seriously watch the 360 area if I was looking to buy it, because if we can get over 360 and hold, I would probably look to be a buyer if I traded it, but I don't trade it. Okay. UNP, Uniform November Papa. Oh, Union Pacific. I did know that symbol. I mean, listen, this is Warren Buffett's baby. I mean, you know, dividend payer, solid. I mean, I'm surprised they're not higher with all the trouble with rail cars and all the other stuff right now. But
higher energy prices are big time for these stocks.
So, you know, my views here are, I think it looks okay. I mean, you know, again, these are pretty good safety type plays. Okay. So, you
know, these kinds of stocks should do pretty well if we do get a crater in the market.
Let's see. Dynatrace offers software intelligent platform purpose-built for the enterprise cloud. Vern Spedler uses artificial intelligence at its core. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, it looked pretty good, right? I said it looked good. Okay.
You know, Bubba, going back, the Union Pacific, the Raytheon, these are core stocks.
Right.
I mean, they'll go down with the market, but, you know, the dividends will be sexy. If you know, the market comes down, they will eventually come back. These are safety stocks.
Right, they're not going out of business. That's one of the
no
I look at. Okay. When I worry if I trade something, if I think they have a chance of going in business, I don't really want to own it long term. And I look for stuff that's going to be around 20 years from now. That's the way I kind of gauge it.
Right. That's why you don't buy $10 stocks.
Right. I mean, again, I gamble plenty on this crap. I mean, again, I'm not, you know, I'm not going to lie and say I don't. I do. Unity, so that's just pretty good.
But when you're buying it, you know you're gambling.
100%.
Right. But that's the difference. A lot of people.
I know, as they say, I know I'm pissing in the wind, but sometimes the wind blows the other way at the right time.
Right. Most of the time, it splashes back on you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. This looks pretty good. I mean, you know, look, if I traded it, I don't. If I traded, I'd look at 130. I think that's pretty solid. I mean, 120 should be really solid. So, I mean, if I traded it, they got option in this thing. I'm gonna have to add this one into my. It looks pretty. The volume looked pretty thin, but today's a hard day to read.
Yeah.
No, I can't get involved there. You get killed on the bid offer strip. Not for me. Okay. Anyways, it looks pretty good. Okay. Okay. Well, how'd you hedge it though? Against the quarterlies? Very expensive. You're giving up a big piece of edge. Just understand that. Okay. Space. Oh, here's somebody who wants space.
They're sending Captain Kirk in, aren't they?
Space.
You're
a Papa Charlie Echo. Richard Branson. Look at this. This is an amazing company. I mean, eventually I think they'll be okay, but here it is, hovering again, lower. I mean, if you look at it at a bigger scope, a higher low than the last time it got trashed, and it's had 2 runs to around 60. Okay.
Who's sending Captain Kirk into space? Is it Bezos?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember. But one of them, he's going up. Yeah,
I think it's Bezos. He's 91. God bless him.
Listen, he's he was great in Boston Legal. If you watch that.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I always liked him. But this is, he made his money on
Priceline.
Priceline, right? He made all his money on Priceline.
Yeah, because he didn't make any money in Star Trek, even though it was a big.
No, that was nothing.
They killed him there.
And my cousin, my distant cousin was Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Live and prosper, or what is it?
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Dr.
I'm gonna,
Spock.
if I can win my way in to the WCP, which I will play in some satellites, I will play, but I have to win my way. And I won't this year. I'm not dropping the 10K because I got too many things in my mind and I'm too busy. But if I will attempt to win my way in.
The problem with it, and I've done it before, and I'll probably do it again this year. The problem is it's the time commitment that you have to go play these satellites, and they go from like 3 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Right. That's well,
pain
I'm
in
too
the
old for that, but I'm going to try, but eventually I will play. Okay. All right, kids, listen, have a great week. The markets are getting more active. I think things look good. Okay. I mean, price action looks good, not the market. Okay. Which is what we really want if you're trading. Okay. And if you're investing, just make sure you're hedging on Saturday. I am doing a hedging webinar.
And come to that, because that's the most important one he's ever going to do.
That's what I always say. In the meantime, everybody have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.